Okay, a lot of interesting stuff from Utah Jazz Media Day. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoopsner Show. All right, guys, before we get into this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go through some of these quotes. I already wrote an article on SLC Dunk. You can go read it there. It's the 3 most interesting quotes in my opinion, but we're going to talk about a little bit more than just that here. We'll go kind of rapid fire, but there were some interesting ones, some things to get excited about for this season. And the Jazz season, in my opinion, has just started. Utah Jazz Media Day is the beginning because tomorrow is training camp, and then we are honestly days from preseason games. So guys, get excited. The season is here. All right, so let's get started. The first one, and let's just talk about it. It's the most interesting quote, in my opinion, was Walker Kessler talking about the contract situation, and Walker Kessler said, I don't want to talk about this the rest of the season, but I'm going to answer this now because I knew you were going to ask. And he does make sure to say that he was frustrated that a contract was not signed. This is completely different than what we were told. I believe it was Tony Jones wrote about this, and that the Jazz had talked with Walker Kessler, but that there will not be a contract this season for Walker Kessler, and he will go into restricted free agency next offseason, which means any team out there can throw a huge offer at him. It's not ideal, because what we were told, that everything's hunky-dory, everything's good, we're all on the same page. Well, it certainly doesn't look like they were on the same page after what Walker Kessler said, that he was frustrated, because he wouldn't be saying he was frustrated if he was fine with it. So obviously there is a difference in number between what Walker Kessler wants and what the Jazz wants, and it's a good reminder that just because things are said through a trusted media member given to them by Jazz personnel does not mean that's exactly what's going on. Can we understand that now, please, everybody? Just because a media member says it doesn't always mean it's true. You got to read between the lines on these things. And you tend, like, one of the things about this whole thing was it didn't match or pass the vibe check, right? Or whatever you want to say. It just didn't smell right. And now it's very clear that kind of gut feeling, at least I had, was right. This was not perfectly... it's not all great. And Walker Kessler has been eligible for a contract extension for months, and no extension happened. So obviously, if Utah wanted to make this happen by any means necessary, it would have happened, right? What this tells me is there's a number that Kessler wants and a number the Jazz want to give him, and we'll see if they even meet that. What this means is that now there is a crack in that relationship, and other GMs know it, and they are going to try to widen that crack so maybe they can get to Walker Kessler. Expect other GMs to try to meddle and do mischief. They are going to try to raise some trade rumors out there. You'll hear about them here. What it means is there's other teams that are going to try. We know there are teams that are interested, especially the Lakers. The Lakers are coming for Walker Kessler, and we'll talk about it. We'll see if there's any sort of change or if the Jazz make this happen. But you know what? They go into restricted free agency this offseason. If there's a team like the Lakers who, decides not to re-sign LeBron James and all of a sudden has $55 million in cap space, and they can throw a huge offer to Kessler, knowing that the Jazz don't want to pay him a lot, it's a hairy situation. Utah probably trades him before a situation like that happens. Utah probably knows kind of what they want to pay him, what he could possibly get on the market. We'll see. But interesting situation with Walker Kessler. All right, guys. The other one that was really interesting is the Ace Bailey quote about Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper, obviously his player manager, and it sounds like he also got rid of his agent. I don't think that's been completely 100% confirmed. It sounds like that he got rid of his both agent and player manager, which was Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper wasn't his agent, he was just his player manager, but it sounds like he got rid of his agent as well and now is searching for a new agent. But he was asked about it, and what did he say here? Let's see, I want to pull this up. Guys, I'm probably not going to edit this one that much, so just bear with me. I am sorry. Ace Bailey, I'm making a change in his representation. This comes from Ben Anderson. I feel like I just made the best decision to move forward to better me and my family in the position that way. So, not a lot there. I mean, it's short and sweet. And honestly, most times, maybe sometimes people worry a little bit if a player is with like CAA and the connections they had with like Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks. The agency was actually somewhat of a story. I personally just hope he doesn't sign with Clutch. If he does, it's not the end of the world. It's not like Utah doesn't have Clutch clients on their roster. Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton were both Clutch clients, and Utah had good relationships with them. But most times, if a player has what relationship players have with their agent, it doesn't really affect much. And so this is probably going to become a non-story now, which is good. It's very good. So interesting. By the way, I forgot to mention about the Walker Kessler thing. There was an interesting quote from Will Hardy where they were asking him about the Jazz's poor defense last year, and he made a point to mention just one player, and that was Walker Kessler, that he needs to improve defensively, which is like eyebrow raise. Why does he just single out Walker Kessler? I would imagine that fans typically look at Walker Kessler as the most impactful defender on the Jazz. I don't think that's a very controversial statement. I do have my own questions, though. Like, this is something that Will Hardy said that I kind of am in agreement a little bit, because we talk so much about how good Walker Kessler is defensively and his rim protection, and people compare him to Rudy Gobert, myself included at times. But the Utah Jazz defensive rating the last 3 seasons two of those seasons has been literally the worst in the NBA, and the other one was 28th out of 30. So it's not like they've been good. And Walker Kessler has been, he hasn't played all those games. And yes, the Jazz were tanking. And yes, there's been a lot of bad players on the floor. But Walker Kessler has played a lot of those games. And you would think that defensive efficiency would go up even a little bit. And it hasn't. So that tells me that the Jazz are watching Walker Kessler and how he plays and produces like a hawk. Right? They are going to watch him close, make sure that all looks, because they're not going to pay Walker Kessler $30 million a year. I just don't think they want to do that. But they're definitely not going to do that if they don't feel like his defense is up to par. So just not going to happen. We'll see. But that Walker Kessler situation is one to watch. Now, back to Ace Bailey. The other thing about Ace Bailey, and it's not just necessarily a quote, it's just his personality. If you guys haven't already, you can go to the Utah Jazz YouTube page and you can watch the live stream and find the interview with Ace Bailey. His personality is phenomenal. He just has such an inviting, fun, friendly personality. And if he is as good as we all hope he becomes, then he is going to be such a sensation here in Utah. He is going to absolutely just own this state. And I think like no other athlete, and that includes Donovan Mitchell, those first few honeymoon years before things went awry. But Ace Bailey just seems so genuine and such a good kid. It's really exciting. And I really think that's one of the things that I'm personally learning about Ace Bailey is I think that he's just genuine, that he is what he says and he does what he says. Everything he has said, when we hear from him specifically, has been the right thing. During that whole situation with Omar Cooper during the draft, during all the tough media questions, he always said the right thing. I just want to play basketball. I'm happy to be drafted by Utah. He said those things. It was his player manager, who he fired, was saying the other stuff. Right? So now he comes to Utah. He talks about how he goes on his first hike. He wants to learn fly fishing. He's enjoying Utah and it's nice here. And he's just fun to listen to. So I'm just a big fan of Ace Bailey. And his personality is great. And I personally am so excited that he's just a part of my life now because he's super fun to listen to. And also, he plays hard, not just offensively, but defensively. And that was one of the other things that I thought was really interesting was the Will Hardy quote about Ace Bailey. He said something that we have not had is his length and athleticism on the defensive end at the wing, which in my mind really is a good sign for Ace Bailey getting a good amount of minutes. I hope Ace Bailey starts. It's the other quote from Will Hardy is he doesn't want Ace Bailey to try to do everything from day one. Make quick decisions. Do things quickly. Fast is the name of the game. Ace Bailey even talked about that in his interview. But the fact that they look at Ace Bailey as having those defensive talents on the wing is exciting. You know, it's not a ringing endorsement of other players that have played on the wing for Utah, but it's exciting that they kind of look at that and look at Ace Bailey as that defensive player. And we saw that, you know, his on-off numbers at Rutgers were great. And on-off numbers are almost always, unless you're just like a superstar offensively like a Nikola Jokic, but they are almost always a great sign of just your defensive ability too. That 50% of the game is on the defensive end. And if he is just a high impact player on the defensive end, there's a lot of reasons to have him on the floor. Defense matters, and Utah wants to set that tone. And if Ace Bailey makes good decisions on the offensive end, while also defending at a high level, it's going to be very difficult for Will Hardy to take him off the floor, especially when he considers him to be unique at that position, right? Like when you're coaching your little league basketball team and you've got one kid that's really good at blocking shots and no one else can, that kid tends to play. A lot of these things are really similar in the NBA. If you have guards and you have forwards and centers and you have just one wing, you're probably going to play that wing a lot more, right? Utah just hasn't had it. And that's why it's still just kind of a miracle that Ace Bailey was there at 5. Getting wings like Ace Bailey, who's like 6'9", athletic, offensive upside, defensive upside. I mean, it's all upside with this kid. Got a great personality, and it seems like he has a really good work ethic. These players go top of the draft. I mean, that's why Cooper Flagg goes number 1. Ace Bailey falling to 5 to Utah could end up being one of the great steals ever. Obviously, it depends on him developing and if he's good, but if he is good, what an incredible steal for the Jazz. All right, so next quote. We already talked about Will Hardy on Ace Bailey, Hardy on embracing the youth movement. By the way, shout out to Alma Bean, who did some great job kind of compiling these quotes. Let's see. He says, let's see. Basically, let's read this one. We're not waiting on somebody to come and save us. You're not waiting for somebody to come and walk through that door, and now we're good. Every good player in our league has had a breakout year. There's nothing that says that somebody in our locker room can't have a breakout year this year. And I think I know who they're talking about, actually. Before I get into that, though, the other quote from Hardy that I thought was interesting, too, was that he just talked about the youth movement and how Utah is a young state, and these players are young, and it's a real chance for fans to get to know these young players and watch them grow. And it's a very kind of a window into what the Jazz are thinking. It's youth movement. That's what's going on. And if you can't get excited about, I guess that's not necessarily the right idea, but getting excited about this youth movement now will make it so much more rewarding in the future when they're actually playing to win a title game. Like, how fun will it be to be like, I was there at Summer League when Ace Bailey made that first start, and I saw him make those first blocks and those first rebounds. I was there when Bryce Sensabaugh went off for the Utah Jazz and turned into something special. I was there when, and this is the player I think they're talking about with a breakout season, Keyonte George took that leap in year 3. The rumors are out there, guys, right now that Keyonte George has been playing fantastic in the off-season workouts. And one of the reasons why they traded Colin Sexton was to give Keyonte George a chance to get that guard position. And I think he's going to be the starting point guard. And I think honestly, here's my hope, but I'm starting to feel like Keyonte George and Bryce Sensabaugh will be the starting backcourt for this Jazz team, which makes sense. I don't think Isaiah Collier has locked that up. His shooting has not improved, and he had a really subpar summer league. Keyonte George has apparently just gotten better. One of the quotes that we also got from this, I think it was from Austin Ainge, said that Keyonte George has taken on a leadership role with this team that has been setting up social events and all these different things for these players to go do. He's been the guy kind of putting everyone under his wing. And so I think Keyonte George is the starting one. I think Bryce Sensabaugh might be that starting two, which another reason why trading Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, and all these players opens that up. And then things get really interesting. I actually think, and you can disagree with me in the comments, I hope that the starting unit, guys, it's really interesting here because this is the other quote. I'm kind of rambling here. This is not the most cohesive. But the other quote I thought was great is that Taylor Hendricks is 100% healthy. 100% healthy. And he's been doing full contact 5-on-5. He's ready to go. He's 100%. That's exciting. I cannot wait for that first moment for Taylor Hendricks to start. That's the question. Will he start? But I cannot wait for him to get on the floor. Right? I wonder if he comes off the bench. But here's the question. Keyonte George starts at the 1. Bryce Sensabaugh starts at the 2. We know Lauri Markkanen's going to start, and Walker Kessler's going to start. But who do you start between Taylor Hendricks, between Ace Bailey? I'm sure some people out there would talk about El Filipowski. Maybe he has a potential to start. I think his defense is not quite good enough. But, there's a world where Utah has Keyonte George, Bryce Sensabaugh, Ace Bailey, and if a Lauri Markkanen trade did happen this year, that clears the way for Taylor Hendricks. And then I guess Walker Kessler. I don't know. There are so many different scenarios and so many different decisions that this Jazz team is going to make. If I was predicting what's going to happen, I don't know. I guess I kind of feel like Keyonte George. Sorry, this is not the most compelling content. Keyonte George, Bryce Sensabaugh, Lauri Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, Walker Kessler. If I had to bet, but if I was really hoping, it would be Ace Bailey starting at the 3, Lauri Markkanen starting at the 4, and Walker Kessler at the 5. That's what I hope. Do I think that's what's going to happen? I don't know. I think Taylor Hendricks probably has a little bit of an edge to start because he has more years under his belt. I know last year was mostly just injury, but he does have a full rookie season under his belt and 3 off seasons. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, that is all of it. That was a really interesting media day. The Walker Kessler stuff is extremely interesting. Thank you to all the members. Guys, the season is here. We have preseason games coming soon. And you can bet that we're going to be talking about it post games. We'll see about live streams during games. Playback is not going anymore with SLC Dunk, and so I don't really have a lot of reason to be on there. I may just be doing post games. We'll see if we do live streams, if you guys enjoy watching it live with me. We'll see. We'll see how we go. But we're for sure getting back to the post games and videos almost every day. That's the goal. I don't always get one every day, so I apologize, but that's the goal. Guys, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you to the members. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you tomorrow.